Hello, everyone. I am Kaneisha Grayson, the founder and CEO of The Art of Applying, and I am here with Dylan DaCosta, our head of enrollment. Good
Hi,
morning,
everybody.
Dylan.
Hi, Kaneisha.
Hey, this morning we will be talking about my business, my journey, all of it. Dylan has compiled a list of questions, and I'm excited to answer the questions he's compiled and the questions that come off the top of his head. And let's see what happens. I get asked a lot about my journey applying to business school, starting this business, growing the business. I get asked a lot of questions by people applying to graduate school, but then also people who want to start a business. So we'll just talk and answer as many of those kinds of questions I often get as possible. Where do we start?
I think it's best for people to get a little bit of an understanding of who you are. So why don't you just give a kind of a very general summary of where you have been
For
or
sure.
the steps along the way.
Yes. And I'm going to be specific because I feel like the devil's in the details. So I will try not to ramble. I'm Kaneisha Grayson. I'm the founder of The Art of Applying. The Art of Applying helps high potential professionals from all over the world get into the world's top business schools, policy schools, and law schools with money to pay for it. I started it in 2010, which we'll talk more about. And we help people's dreams come true, and we change lives every single day. It's a fast growing company. It's really exciting. Who am I? I'm 35. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm from Austin, Texas. I grew up in a high crime, low income neighborhood in Austin called Dev Springs. When I was growing up, our neighborhood had the highest teen pregnancy rate in all of the United States. My parents grew up as migrant farm workers. They were really, really poor, which means they traveled all over the US picking fruit as children when they weren't in school in order to survive. My grandma started working when she was 15. My great grandma got married at 13. That's not why you're all here, is to hear what age my grandmas got married. But I just, I come from poor people. I didn't grow up poor, but I did grow up in a really poor neighborhood. And I went to public schools all the way, low income public schools, all the way through high school. I went to magnet schools, which are these free public schools that you have to apply to. So I've been applying to things and helping people apply to things since I was in sixth grade. So in sixth grade, I had to apply to go to the special middle school. And then I helped my best friend, JJ, apply. And I've literally been applying to schools and helping people apply to schools literally since I was in sixth grade, continuously. So that's a little bit about me. I have a sister and a dad and twin nephews who will be 7 soon. I love animals. I don't have any dogs myself, but we have 2 family dogs. And I'm loving life. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. So as you know, hundreds, probably thousands of people every application season come to us wanting help. Some people we talk to, some we don't, some we work with, some we don't. Many of those people want to go to business school and they have some reason for wanting to go. Something has sparked their interest in getting an MBA. What was that for you? What was the moment that you said, this is something I might want to do?
For sure. I love telling this story. I love telling the story of when that moment sparked for me. But first, I feel like people out in the world might be wondering, who is this guy and why is he interviewing Kaneisha? So why don't you tell us about yourself and what ages your grandmas were when they got married?
I don't know. My name is Dylan DaCosta. As Kaneisha said, I'm the head of enrollment for The Art of Applying. I've been with the company for, I think, exactly a year and a half. And it's been a very fun ride. There's been a lot of challenges personally, things for me, areas of growth and just work I'd never done before that I've been doing since I've been working with you. But I've really enjoyed it. I enjoy talking to people, helping them get closer to their graduate school dreams or their professional dreams. They're all connected. Mm-hmm. I'm a former reporter, so I guess in one way it kind of makes sense that I'm the one interviewing you. This is what I did every single day
That is what you did.
Yeah, for a year and a bit, I think. Sometimes I was asking about, why do you think your neighbor kidnapped your cat? I actually asked that one time.
Oh man, that's newsworthy right there.
It definitely is in a small town. But yeah, I was covering a wide range of news within the small town that I was from.
Okay.
That's kind of who I am, how I got here, and why I am the perfect person to interview you.
That's right, and you're a sweet Canadian.
Yes, and I'm born in fairly rural Canada.
Yeah.
Born and raised to Portuguese parents.
Yes, which is important. Okay, when did that moment spark for me? I went to Pomona College. Chirp Chirp, our very macho mascot is the sage hen, which is it's like a road runner. So anyway, that's why we say chirp chirp. And that's also why you see so much 47 things in the company, because that's my college's lucky number.
I didn't know that.
I went to Pomona College. Why did I go to Pomona? Because when I was a senior in high school, I was a good student. I was 7th out of my entire graduating class. Took a lot of really challenging coursework in high school, had a really good time in high school, had good friends, great relationships with my teachers. And our college counselor pulled me aside in our meeting, and she said, Kaneisha, you're going to get into every college you apply to. I don't recommend that you go to Harvard for college. I think you should go to a small, prestigious liberal arts school where you can get a lot of attention, where the emphasis is on teaching, and then go to Harvard for graduate school. And I was like, okay. And so 17-year-old Kaneisha was like, oh, surely that's the plan, is I'm going to Harvard for graduate school. Why did she say that? She said that because I had only grown up in low-income environments. Of course, low-income students are welcome and should go to as many Ivy League schools as they want to for college. But she felt that it would be a better transition for me to go to a smaller school, basically see how rich people live and like be around all that abundance, get to take advantage of all that without feeling like left out or anything. Pomona it's a very wealthy school and works really hard to meet the financial need of all of its students. So basically, whatever amount your family can pay, Pomona pays the rest, it covers the rest. And that was definitely the right decision for me to go to a small school. I was very academically prepared for Pomona. I still went through a tremendous culture shock of just like, oh my gosh, all of my classmates grew up with maids, and everyone's talking about all these like overseas travel. And I actually had gone overseas by myself actually when I was 15, but it was a huge culture shock because my high school was very diverse ethnically and racially, way more than Pomona was at the time, but it was not diverse socioeconomically. We were all like, if you weren't on free lunch, you were like middle class, lower middle class for the most part. We had a few people in our class who were like obviously rich, very few, but I wouldn't even say obviously, but now that I'm an adult, like I look back and I'm like, oh, they were obviously rich. Their parents like owned like a very abundant business. But anyway, so I went to Pomona for college and had that culture shock of just like, oh, people are like the rich in this world. And I studied Black Studies, which I believe is now called Africana Studies at Pomona College. And it focuses on, or my focus and my major was on the literature, the art, and the media produced by Black people from all over the world, whether it's the United States, the Caribbean, South America, Africa, whatever. And the way that major chose me, I just was taking the fun classes, the classes that sounded fun to me. And then I was like, well, the classes I'm taking span a lot of different disciplines, but the one thing that they all have in common is that I can get credit as a Black Studies major. The first of which was African-American crime and mystery novels. And I was like, what is that? So that was the first I took. Anyway, that was how I ended up at Pomona. I was a humanities major. I did well in AP Calculus in high school, but I was avoiding quantitative coursework like as much as possible. And it was, while in college, I did a lot of student leadership. I was a sponsor, which is basically like a mentor to first-year students when you're a second year. And then when I was a senior, I was the head sponsor, which is the person who picks all the sponsors. There's 3 of us, and there's a person who picks all the sponsors, trains them, mentors them all year. So I was basically with 2 other people responsible for sort of the social well-being and happiness of all the first years. And I really loved that. And I did a lot of leadership activities at Pomona. I started the Student of Color Alliance with my best friend from college, Shadia. And so I was like student activist, very active, very into college. And it was the summer before my senior year of college when I was volunteering at a nonprofit in my neighborhood. And the executive director gave me the job of getting food and drinks and door prizes for a Stop the Violence concert. This is actually interesting because this was back in 2005, before a lot of the police killing unarmed Black people had like become like a really big thing. But in my neighborhood, a police officer had shot an unarmed youth and killed him. And so there was a lot of unrest, and we were trying to throw this concert to be like, give the kids something to look forward to as we went back to school. Anyway, I like crushed that gig that she asked me to do. I was like so organized, using my little spreadsheet, pitching to nonprofits and businesses. I got all the food, all the drinks, all the door prizes for the concert. And she was like, she sat me down and was like, so what's your plan after college? And I had won a scholarship from Rotary Club to go to any country after college that I wanted to and be an ambassador of goodwill, which literally means dress up cute, volunteer and kiss babies and give speeches about America, which I thoroughly enjoyed and would love to do again. So the Rotary Club gave me that amazing scholarship that doesn't exist anymore. So I knew I chose Ghana because I had friends from Ghana. I knew it was an English speaking stable country. I really wanted to live in Africa and see what that was like. So my answer to her was like, oh, after college, I'm moving to Africa. And I had like no other plan. And she said, I had helped a friend apply to Harvard Kennedy School, not even know, it was called, what do we call it back then? KSG, Kennedy School of Government. I didn't even really understand what you learned at Harvard Kennedy School, but I knew how to apply to things. So I helped him apply, and he got in with a full scholarship, 2 full scholarships. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to Harvard Kennedy School. And she was like, great, that's great. I think you should also go to business school. I know I'm talking a really long time. Just enjoy.
I am.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to move to Africa, and then maybe I'll go to the Kennedy School, whatever they're teaching over there. I was an activist, a lot of nonprofit work. So I knew, I'll fit in at the Kennedy School. And Mona Gonzalez, the executive director of the nonprofit, said, Kaneisha, I really think you should think about going to business school. And I'm like, what is business school? And I literally Googled, what is business school? What is an MBA? And Harvard Business School came up, and it was like, do you want to change the world? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, do you want to have a transformative, life-changing experience? I'm like, yes, I do. And then somehow I was clicking around, and I saw that the average salary for an HBS graduate coming right out of graduate school was $130,000. And I was like, wait, what? I can make more money than both of my parents combined in my first job out of graduate school? Sign me up. And I also found that it was the first year in many, many years, I'm pretty sure in many decades, that Harvard Business School was accepting applications from college seniors. And they were encouraging college seniors to apply, and they waived the application fee. It was free to apply. And if you didn't get in, they would tell you why. So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And then I look, and Stanford is doing the same thing. It's free to apply. If you don't get in, they'll tell you why. And I'm like, this is bonkers. And as you know, I am a woo-woo lady, witch, whatever you want to call it, wizard, whatever, priestess. And I just knew I would not have found out about this if I was not supposed to go here. There's enough time for me to apply. And I knew deep down, I'm getting in. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm getting in. So that was the spark, was being encouraged to apply. I didn't even know what a business school was. But then when I realized they're looking for college seniors, I'm like, that's weird. Why are only 2 schools in all of the US letting college seniors apply? They think there's something important about encouraging college seniors to apply. And of course they want me. I'm active in campus. I have good grades. So that was the spark. And one other kind of magical synchronicity is Mona Gonzalez, the executive director, said, and one of our board members of the nonprofit just graduated from Harvard Business School. I'll tell you, I'll give you his email address, and maybe he can read your essays or something. And when she told me his name, he had been my camp counselor 2 years earlier at like leadership camp. And I was just blown away. And I just knew this is going to happen. This is my destiny. So that's how I decided to apply.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So you apply to deferred admissions programs as a college senior. Why? I understand that the timing felt there, the signs felt like they were there, but why was it that as opposed to, okay, I'm interested in business school, but I'm going to apply to MBA programs that were not deferred admission sometime further down the line? Why? Where did the urgency come from, I guess?
Yes, that's a great question. It felt urgent to me to seize the opportunity of applying to these deferred admission programs as a senior, because why would they exist if it is not an advantage to the school and to me for me to apply? Because it's such a narrow opportunity. You can only do it at this very particular point in your life, right? It's kind of like if there was a lottery in the US that you could only play when you're the age 21, and that's it. Once you're 22, you can't play the lottery anymore. I'm gonna play the lottery on that day because I'm only competing with the other 21-year-olds. And that's what it felt like. It felt like an opportunity I didn't want to pass up, because literally, if I passed it up, that opportunity is gone. Yes, I can apply later, but life can happen. And I think that's exactly why Harvard and Stanford pioneered these programs, is because they're like, we don't want to miss, and I don't mean to say that I'm the next such and such, these people. I'm just going to name some people. We don't want to miss the next Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, right? We don't want to miss the next like innovator of the generation, because they don't even often feel they need college, much less graduate school. But if we can lock them in at a young age, let them go off, work for 2 or more years and come back, that's a way to get those people, especially those underrepresented people that may not consider business school or those calibers of business school. I think that, and also just to be clear, this is what the program that's now known as HBS 2+2. These are the early days to where it wasn't even called that. Like, we named it. They had all these different names playing off of the number 2 for us to vote on. And my class was the one that voted on that, my incoming class of deferred admits. So why not wait till later? I really believe the universe likes speed. And I don't mean rushing or being frantic, but I find that when presented with an idea that makes you vibrate, or with an opportunity that really makes your heart sing, that is your body, your intuition, your spirit guides telling you like, yes, this, move forward. And if we don't listen to that voice gets quieter and quieter. And it becomes harder and harder to actually know what it is we really want to do in life and where we should be going. I think that's how a lot of people end up kind of feeling lost off their path, like they're wandering, they're not doing what they're meant to do in life. So when I don't even want to say my gut, well, I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe it's coming from my pancreas, wherever that is. Like when I feel like, yes, I move toward it. Yeah. So yeah, that is why I wanted to do it then and not wait. And also because it's an and, it's not an or, because I can apply to the deferred admission program. If I don't get in, they're going to tell me why I didn't get in. I don't think they do that anymore. But back then they would tell me why I didn't get in, and then I can still apply later. It's an and. Yeah.
Definitely. So you make up your mind that you want to apply to deferred admission MBA programs. One thing that people who come to us looking for help struggle with is articulating why. For you, obviously we're almost a decade into the art of applying now, and we know where this ends, or at least where it's ended so far. But at that time, what was your why? What were you telling admissions committees, or what did you actually want to achieve by going to business school? For sure.
So I have my sort of internal reasons, and then I have what I wrote about in my essays. So we'll talk about both. My internal reasons were good and also problematic. So we'll talk about that. The good reasons were, it sounded exciting. It sounded fun. It sounded like something new and zesty to try. Ooh, business. I've been taking all these humanities courses. I can write a 20-page essay in a night. I can talk to people about all of the history and problems of the white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchy, imperialist society. But like, how do you make money? How do you run a business? So all of that matters. So I wanted to balance out my education, right? I'm a really good writer, great critical thinker, but like, what's next? So those were the good reasons. The problematic reasons were I wanted to prove to people that I was smart, which is silly because I was 7th in my class in high school. I did well at Pomona. I was obviously smart, but I felt like nobody doubts that you're smart when you go to Harvard. And nobody had treated me like I was dumb. It was just like a weird myth inside. I also, as you know, I am like an evangelist for things that I like, and I really like to share, and I'm not a modest person, for better or for worse. And going to a school like Harvard would give me bragging rights for life. And and not because I want to brag and be better than other people, but like I engage a lot of random people in conversation. And the vision I had in my head was like, I'm going to make the old Black man on the bus proud of me. That is like, I'm not kidding. That was like a real motivation, was like, some old Black man is going to be chatting with me, asking me questions about my life, or like, who am I? Am I going to my first job or whatever? When I tell him I went to Harvard, he's going to be so proud of me. And that is not a reason to take on a 6-figure education, but I'm just being honest that was one of my motivations, like why I would go to Harvard versus a lesser known school. Mm-hmm. Even if the school maybe even gave me a full ride. And I forgot the question. What are we talking about?
What were your goals going into business?
Oh, yeah. So the internal goals were, so still on the problem, somewhat problematic side of the goals was I wanted insurance for my career, which the financial crisis happened while I was in graduate school. So that insurance ended up being pretty helpful for a lot of people. What do I mean by that? With my humanities undergraduate degree and my lack of quantitative coursework and my lack of quantitative affinity. I'm not a person who's bad at math, but I am not a person who goes out of my way to go do some math. So I didn't feel I had a safety net for ensuring that I could always earn a high income. You know, I'm like, I could be a teacher, which I would love. I could work at a nonprofit, which I think I would love. But like, I really want to make money and live abundantly. I want to do better than my parents did. My parents, just for people to know, my dad is a retired corrections officer and my mom retired as a disability case examiner. So they both worked for the state or for the government. And I was like, I need something to where I always know if I need to go get a job, I'll be able to get a very good paying job. And I believe that is very true of a Harvard MBA. Now you have to actually, know what you're doing, be a good coworker, provide value to the business. But a top MBA provide a floor to your income, which I really needed that safety net because I didn't have a trust fund or a rich uncle to fund my life. So those were the internal reasons. In my essays, I wrote about this crazy new notion that very few people were talking about, which has become very popular now. And I wrote about social entrepreneurship. So I did my senior thesis in Black Studies. I combined my academic career thus far in Black Studies with my future goals, going to business school and policy school. So my thesis was called Sisterhood Agenda: Black Women, Feminism, and Social Entrepreneurship. And I basically wrote 3 case studies of Black women social entrepreneurs, which was like a thing that very few people were talking about back in 2006. And basically, I was enamored with the notion that business could do good in the world, or even the whole end point of the business could be providing a social good, but also the business could be self-sustaining through earned income versus donations. And I was enamored with that idea. And that was my whole kind of personal brand as an applicant, is I'm the social enterprise applicant. I'm the joint degree who's going to combine business with the public sector and the nonprofit sector to do good and earn well. And what's beautiful is that's what we're doing now. I don't think I would call us a social enterprise. I think more like we're a mission-driven business and we should probably apply for B Corp status. But I'm just like, wow, that's what we're doing. So what I wrote in my essays is that I'm actually one of those crazy people who is basically doing what I wrote in my essays that I said I was going to do. I said that I wanted to start a consulting firm that leveraged the diversity of the consultants of the firm in order to help their clients achieve results. I was thinking it would be more along the lines of like diversity consulting or like inclusiveness consulting or something, or like even strategy or management consulting. But like we were the firm that's like, we will leverage the cultural background of our consultants in order to help your business solve this problem. That's not really exactly what we do, but that is pretty close. That is really close to what we do.
Yeah, that is actually.
Yeah. So I feel really fortunate, blessed, privileged, whatever word we want to use, to have had a vision so long ago and to be living that vision now. So that was on the inside. I wanted to go to Harvard so that I could have a safety net of earning and prove to people I was smart. And I wanted that badge of approval and that brand. I just feel that a liberal arts college and an MBA, they really go well together because they're so different. They're very synergistic. Yeah. And then externally in my essays, I wanted to be a social entrepreneur.
Okay. So now you're in business school. You're at Harvard Business School. When did that idea of a consulting firm evolve into the seed of what is now the art of applying? When did you figure out this is the direction that it's going to go?
For sure. Funny enough, I had the idea before going to business school. So in the timeline of my life, I graduate from college. I moved to New York City for the summer to do an internship with SEO, Seizing Every Opportunity, which is an amazing nonprofit. And so I'm basically working on Broad Street, which is in the Wall Street Financial District area, having a wonderful time in the summer. And I then moved to Ghana with my Rotary Scholarship. I have a wonderful time there. The summer before going to graduate school, I started at Harvard Kennedy School for my first year. I'm like, I would like to make some money. Let me help people get into college. And so my friend Carla made me a MySpace page. Oh man, I wish I had the screenshot of that MySpace page. It was cute. And Carla was the friend back in the MySpace days. Everybody had the friend who knew how to make a cool MySpace page, like make it like look good. So she like made my MySpace page look really good. And I was like, I'll help people get into college. And our current client, Dylan, that you enrolled, Gabby, reached out about me helping her little sister to get into college.
Wow.
And I don't think we ended up working together. I never had a paid client. And when it was time to go to business school, I took it down because something inside was like, I'm pretty sure a MySpace page does not look professional for going to business school. Is this a business? I don't know. So that was the first kind of stab at the idea. But then when I was in business, I keep saying business school. I went to business and policy school. I'm very proud alum of both my schools. It's just that most of our clients are applying to business school. So at Harvard Kennedy School, I do my first internship at Eli Lilly, and I am working in their policy division. They treated me so well. I had such cool projects. I was working on racial healthcare disparities and healthcare reform issues. Very cool. And then for my second summer, my MBA summer, I was at Nestle in California. They treated me really well. I was marketing for Willy Wonka candy, literally designing the golden ticket experience for the kid who wins the golden ticket. Like, so fun, right? But it wasn't that fun for me. And I just don't fit in. I don't fit in as far as I've ever seen in large hierarchical companies. Maybe I'd fit in at a Google or Facebook, maybe, but I didn't fit in. I just keep saying it because it was really painful to be like, I can tell this is a really cool job, but not for me. And so one day I'm having lunch with my friend Laura Roeder, who is a very successful entrepreneur. Her business is millions and millions of dollars. Edgar is her business, social media scheduling tool. I always like to plug it because we use it. And I'm proud of my fancy friends. So I'm having lunch with Laura and I'm complaining about my internship. And I casually mention, and yeah, I have this conference call tonight with 16 people who want to talk to me about applying to Harvard and the joint degree. So yeah, I've got a long day today. And Laura's like, Kaneisha, if you have 16 people who will meet up all at the same time to listen to you talk about applying to graduate school, that is your business and you're starting it right now. And I'm going to put you in my class that I just created called Creating Fame. And you're going to do the work and you're going to start this business. And it was an epiphany. It was that same kind of epiphany like the what is business school, where it was like, of course, this is my business. I had the conference call, it went well. And I sent, this is how my business launched. I wrote a mass email to everybody on the call and everybody I knew and was like, I do this for pay now. And when I first started it, I don't know that it even had a name. I first said, I'm only going to help people apply to Harvard. But then a guy who had reached out to me under the pretense of like, hey, I'm applying to Harvard Business School. I'm applying to business school and policy school. Can we chat about it? And I'm like, sure. So we met up a few times to chat about it. And then one of the times, and so this is during my summer internship, but then one of the times we met up, he showed up looking like really like nice. And I was like, oh, wait, this is a date. And I've been tricked into a date, which is actually a thing that happens to a lot of women entrepreneurs where like, men like pretend it's for business and then it's a date. That has happened to me several times. It's fine sometimes, but also like really not fine sometimes else. Anyway, me and this guy end up dating. And so when I tell him that I am starting this business, he's like, I would like to be your first paying client. And I'm like, wait, for real? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to pay you and I want you to help me get in. And I'm like, this is wonderful. Great. And so I leave to go back to school. We're still together. And we worked, he's my first client. He paid a lot of money and we worked together over many months. He has pretty worrisome stats, 620 GMAT. He's over 30. He went to a public school for college. His GPA was 3.4. But I was just like, this guy is awesome. Like his personal story is awesome. Like he's so charming, like he is charismatic, he's a change maker, this is gonna work. And his dream school was Kellogg. And with those stats, he got into Kellogg. He got waitlisted and then we got him off the waitlist into Kellogg. And I was like, okay, it's on like Donkey Kong now, right? If I can get my boyfriend into Kellogg with those stats, like, oh my goodness. This is a thing. And so I think we're moving to Evanston and he's lets me know we're not moving to Evanston. And so we don't end up working out. I wish him well. I don't even know if he went to graduate school, I don't even know if he went, but we don't end up working out. So I'm really glad I got paid for helping him. So I wonder when the first post ever was. I think it was in 2011. I buy the domain, theartofapplying.com, and I just start writing. I start writing about applying to graduate school. I just blog. I answer questions on forums, and I get my first paying client who's not my boyfriend. It's a person from South Korea. And then more and more clients come. So, I talk so long, I forget what the question even was.
You answered the question.
Okay, great.
I don't even remember what the question was, but I feel like you answered it.
Okay, great.
So I guess I understand how the business was created, but as a Harvard Business School and Harvard Kennedy School student, how did the programs themselves and what you learned contribute to how the business started?
Yeah.
I understand why it started and how it started, but what did you learn that helped? Or as you were creating this business, what did you find?
Yeah, so many things, and mostly indirectly. Back when I was at Harvard Kennedy School and Harvard Business School, entrepreneurship was not the cool thing to do. The cool thing to do was to work for McKinsey, Bain, or BCG, or an investment bank. That was what most people wanted to do. To start your own business, people would call you brave. like in parentheses was like, cause that's crazy. And so there wasn't actually there wasn't a lot of coursework on how to start, if any, how to start a bootstrap business. So I had to put it together myself, my own agenda of coursework, but I did a great job of doing that. Your whole second year of policy school at HKS and a business school at HBS is all electives, and I took advantage of that. So here are how some of the courses helped me. I took accounting at both Harvard Kennedy School and at Harvard Business School. So I got to have a really firm grasp of like financial control. How do you keep expenses in line with revenue? How do you stay out of prison? You know, I always talk a lot about staying out of prison. How do I make sure that my own naivete about finances doesn't get me in trouble financially or legally? And I did really well in accounting and at both the Kennedy School and Harvard Business School. I was terrible in finance. I really struggled in finance. I'm still grateful to have the foundational knowledge, but I really struggled in finance, and I'm not sure why. Honestly, I think it's because I didn't do the homework proactively enough. I leaned too hard on my learning team, on the finance people in my learning team, instead of like forcing myself to learn it. I'm really grateful to Harvard Business School though, because when I needed a tutor, they gave me a tutor for free and they paid the tutor for me, which is amazing. Another student. Other classes that helped, I took a class at Harvard Kennedy School from Marshall Gans, who's this amazing organizer who went to college late in adulthood and then got his PhD and now teaches at Harvard Kennedy School, who I believe was on the speech writing team for Barack Obama, all kinds of things. Obviously fact check the things I'm saying. But I took a class with Marshall Gans that really helped me a lot with storytelling for a social mission. And so of course, that's what we do all the time, both when helping the clients create their essays and prepare for their interviews, but also when we tell the story of the art of applying. Mm-hmm. You know, why you, why me, why now, right? So that was, I don't even remember the name of the class. I can't remember the name of the class, but Marshall Gans was the professor. I took the art of communication with Marie Danziger. We had to give a 4-minute speech every week on camera. And now I love the camera. I'm great when I don't forget what the question was. Did great in that class, had a wonderful time. That was at the Harvard Kennedy School. At Harvard Business School, I took amazing classes. I took a class called Consumer Marketing with Youngmi Moon, which I believe may be called Different now, which every week we did a case on companies that won by being different or unconventional. How did Red Bull become Red Bull when Coke and Pepsi, how did they invent an entire category of sports drinks? That wasn't a thing. Sports drinks were not a thing. Like there was Gatorade, but that was more about performance. But to be like, Red Bull's going to help you stay awake in the club, like that wasn't a thing until Red Bull made it a thing. I also took a class called Authentic Leadership Development with Peter Olson, the former CEO of Random House, and we were very close. That class was fantastic for how do you be a for real leader who's true to themselves, true to the mission of their business, and can lead their people. I took a class with Anita Elberse, who was fairly new professor at the time. She's a rock star, so popular now, which was a media and entertainment class, which I believe is now called Blockbusters. I took a class with Mishek Piskorsky, who was also a newish professor who's now a rock star, and I took Competing with Social Networks. I did an individual study with Barbara Kellerman at the Kennedy School, who is amazing. And our independent study was on Black women running online businesses. The fact that she took me on for that independent study is amazing, and that there was stuff for me to study and do. I also took, those classes were so good. I had such a stacked, amazing, I did such a good job of choosing classes that were interesting to me and would help the business. And So lots of classes that I took that helped with the business. And also just being an alum of the schools is a huge testament, and having been the one who got myself in, and that I can do it for other people. So just actually having graduated as well, coming in as a non-traditional applicant.
Definitely. When we speak with people who are interested in working with us at the Art of Applying, interested in becoming clients and getting our help, getting into their dream schools, to understand why graduate school is important to them and what story we can help them tell, we often ask, what are your goals? But then where would you be without business school, without policy, without law school, without the thing that you think helps you get there? Some people literally are at a ceiling in their career where they just need the degree to be able to go to the next level. But many people, like you were, who have entrepreneurial goals say, well, I could do it without business school, but here's what would be different. For you, what do you feel would be different about the Art of Applying? And maybe it would not have even been created, but where would this business be without Harvard Business School and Harvard Kennedy School behind you?
Yes, it definitely would be in a different place. And I feel in a much lower impact and lower earning place. I graduated from Harvard Kennedy School and Harvard Business School with $130,000 in student loan debt, which ballooned to $150,000. I was devastated to have that much student loan debt. So part of having gone was like, I never want this to happen to another person who comes from like a working class background. A lot of people understand what they're really getting into when they take on that student loan debt. I'm not saying anybody tricked me or deceived me. I'm not saying that, but I didn't have a good grasp of just how crushing that amount of debt can be because I'd never even had a job. Okay. So I'm very against young people who don't truly understand the gravity of the debt they're taking it on. In the United States, we're in a situation where we have 18-year-olds. They can't even drink in the US, but you can sign up for $100,000 of college debt. That's crazy. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not resentful at anybody. I needed that fire under my ass. So that fire under my ass was, I better fucking make some money because I owe $150K.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't owe that, I would be so like, oh, let me just help you for free, or let me help you for a little tiny payment, whatever you can afford. No, I was like, my student loans are $30 in interest a day, every day. A nice dinner out at a restaurant every day. My student loans are accruing. I have to make some money. Now, I could just go take a 6-figure job and make that money. But the thing is, as I've said before, I didn't fit into those large corporations that were offering those high salaries. So it was like, how can I be me? Mm-hmm. How can I get paid to be me, help other people, and also write? And I also at the time really wanted to be on television. I wanted to be a talk show hostess. So it was like, what is one thing I can get known for? And then maybe they'll give me a show. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen, but we're on YouTube, so I'll take it for now. Where would it be? I wouldn't have the motivation to grow the company so that I can grow my income and grow my impact as much if I didn't have the student loan debt. And just the happy ending to the story is I was able to pay it off in 7 years because the Art of Applying was so successful. Mm-hmm. I would probably also be focused on getting people into college, which is totally fine. Completely respect that. But that just isn't what we're doing right now. Because I had helped people get into graduate school, I do think I would probably still be helping people apply, but I wouldn't have that same credibility. And I'd have to do a lot more convincing people. Like, can you imagine if you're so good at getting people into Harvard Business School, why didn't you go? Mm-hmm. Right? So, definitely. And I would have never met you. I don't think so. I wouldn't have been in a position to hire somebody. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a cheesy and a lover. And I'm like, I can't imagine the Art of Applying without you. So my goodness, it is so important to seize opportunities. Mm-hmm. Seize every opportunity. And I don't mean say yes to everything, but I'm saying if you think about doing something or you see someone else doing it and it makes your heart sing, you do that thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what being on camera is like for me, which is why I'm loving this. So yeah, we'd be around. The Art of Applying would exist, but it'd be much smaller. And I'm not saying bigger is always better, but when you're helping people, the more people you can help, the better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I guess just to wrap up, we've talked about Kaneisha, the undergraduate student, Kaneisha, the hopeful applicant, Kaneisha, the business school and Harvard Kennedy School student, and then Kaneisha, the early business owner.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk finally about where we are now. So whatever you want to share, let people know where we are now, and both to let them know and because I'm always curious, and where you see the business going.
Yes, of course. And, it's important that I talk more about the vision to you, Dylan, and everybody else on the team so that we can all make sure we're doing our part to make the vision become a reality. So for those of you out there watching, I started the Art of Applying in 2010 out of my Harvard Business School apartment, me and a laptop. And now 9 years later, we just hit $1 million in 12-month revenue in July, which is amazing and a dream come true. It's gone from Kaneisha and a laptop to 5 full-time employees, an international team, and 25 5 contractors. So the contractors are the amazing people who work with our clients to help them get into their dream schools. And to think that to grow something like that out of nothing, I am so proud. I am so grateful. So that's where we are now. We help, we have over 20,000 Facebook fans, 3,000 or 3,500 people in our private free Facebook group applying to Ivy League graduate schools. You all should come and join us in the group. We have fun in there. And we work with about 100 people directly every year on their applications at this point, but we're ready for more. I think we have a good infrastructure to take double that. And we are changing people's lives. We've helped our clients make over $12.3 million in scholarships, not need-based aid, merit scholarships. We get good news from our clients every week. So that's where we are now. And where are we going? What is my vision? My vision is to grow the company. I would like the company to be we can definitely hit this sooner, but it doesn't have to be crazy at work. We really believe in that. So a gentle goal would be $3 million in revenue, in annual revenue in 3 years, which we can totally do faster than 3 years, but that's a nice gentle goal. I want our business. I'm a big fan I read a lot of small business books, and I wish there were more written by women. And even when I say that, I can feel my spirit guide being like, yeah, you. I read a lot of small business books, and I really believe in profit first. So making sure that profitability is top of mind, not bottom of mind. I really believe in Mike Michalowicz's other book. I'm just looking at them because I have them stacked. Clockwork. That's what we'll be working on in 2019, is getting the business to run like clockwork, right? So that Dylan can go to Portugal for a month of vacation and the business still runs like clockwork. The enrollment team is still enrolling people into their dreams. So that Kaneisha can go learn how to make wine in France, right? And then go to Italy and make pasta, and the business grows and does better without me. So Clockwork also a big fan of Mike Michalowicz's book, The Pumpkin Plan, which is basically about how to grow to be the leader of your industry by focusing on providing outstanding service to your ideal clients. Our clients are so amazing. And I know there's many of them every year that like me and you want to like hang out and be friends with, and like to clone those clients to attract more people. And this is when I would actually like to clearly say who those people are. This has become much more clear to me. We work with what I'll call the beautiful misfits. Okay. What do I mean by that? I mean, you are LGBTQ or an active LGBTQ ally. You grew up poor. That doesn't mean you're poor now necessarily, or then doesn't mean you have to be all these things. I'm just naming the kinds of people I feel are most attracted to us. U.S. students of color who might be the first in their family to go to graduate school. People who are first-generation Americans or first-generation college grads. People who come from really non-traditional backgrounds but want to go to business school. Like I was an opera singer. People who struggle with anxiety, people who have ADHD, dyslexia, and thrive, not despite having ADHD and or dyslexia, but because their minds work differently. And I know I listed a lot of groups, but I'll call them the beautiful misfits. And that's who I feel we can help anybody, but that's who I feel like we have the most fun helping.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to wrap up, we've talked a lot about you and the business. I guess what would you say to people who have graduate school dreams? With your own experience, with what the business has become, what would you say to those people who want something, but they're not sure if they can get it or if it's the right thing or what their career will look like? What's your message to those people to say, go ahead?
For anybody watching this video wondering what sign am I going to receive that I can get into a top business school, policy school, or law school, that even though I'm not perfect, I can get into one of those schools and maybe even get money to pay for it. This is your sign. You found the video, you watched the video, you like me, you like Dylan,
I hope so.
You believe us, Well, I'm just saying, only if they do. You believe us, and there's a little feeling inside of you, or maybe even a big feeling that says, hey, she did it. Like, I can do it too. Mm-hmm. This can happen for me. And don't just take my word for it. Take our client's word for it. Search our YouTube channel and watch the client interviews. Go to our website, theartofapplying.com, read the blog post, go to our testimonials page and look at the screenshots. We got receipts for all of the claims we make. Look at the screenshots of all the people celebrating. It can happen for you. This is your sign. Yes, it can happen for you. You did not find this video by accident. You did not watch the video by accident. And you don't feel that little twinkly feeling inside by accident. Life does not give us a desire with absolutely no way to achieve it. But you do have to take action. You do have to be willing to take that leap of faith. Okay, so that's what I would say to you. And I would invite you to reach out to us. Reach out. You can leave a comment on the YouTube video. You could find Dylan on Facebook. Don't find me on Facebook. I'm terrible with my messages. Find The Art of Applying on Facebook. Send us an email at help@theartofapplying.com. Come to our website, leave them at whatever. Reach out to just start the conversation. And then you can have a free call with my team, the team that Dylan leads, to just talk about what is working, what's not working in your application process. Even I haven't started is a problem. Even I haven't started is a thing that's not working, because you have to start somewhere. So that's what I would say. If you're wondering, yes, hello. Kaneisha Grayson telling you it can happen for you, because it happens for our clients every year. Dylan, we have helped a full Harvard Business School incoming class. Over 1,000 people are at Ivy League business schools, policy schools, and law schools because of The Art of Applying. Mm-hmm. So this shit works. We would love to meet you and see if we're a great match for working together.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Kaneisha. I appreciate you being honest and transparent. And you're obviously a very good storyteller as well. So I'm sure everybody watching had a good time hearing your compelling story, and also just seeing how, exactly like you said, how it happened for you. It can happen for other people as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Wonderful. I had a great time.
So did I.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Are you ready to take your application process to the next level? The Art of Applying helps you get into the graduate school of your dreams and get money to pay for it. Book a free quick call from the link in the description to get started. And subscribe to our channel for more application tips and success stories.